Hello everybody, how the devil are you? This is Sirhc, and I just saw the Justice League. Now, normally I don't do videos on movies at all, we're a gaming channel, but the guy that I went to see it with had to leave like immediately as the film was ending, so I haven't had anybody to talk to, so I decided to record this to talk to you guys. Now, what did I think of the Justice League? I thought that the Justice League was a turd sandwich. Now, the turd sandwich, the bread is a croissant, so on the surface level it seems nice, but as soon as you bite into it, you realize that it's full of crap. Now, that's a spoiler-free version. Because I don't want to filter myself at all, I haven't planned anything out. I just wanted to talk about this. I'm going to say spoilers from this point on, just in case. So I got my recommendation out the way. I did not enjoy it. I'm sure other people will, but I did not. Now on to breaking it down a little bit more. The film opens with... Now, even though I saw this like a couple of hours ago, I'm kind of fuzzy on the details still. I think it opens with a scene with where they introduce Batman on the roof, where he captures Exposition Criminal. Now, he captures Exposition Criminal, and then he ties him up, makes him almost fall off a building, so he can attract fear, alien, insect, vampire. And then they fight, they fly around, then they land, and he causes the alien insect vampire to explode into 3 cubes on the wall. I had a bit of a discussion with my friend about this, but I feel like they moved to a different building. He says that no, it was the same building, but you'd have to watch it again to find out, or pay attention while you're watching it. But all of a sudden, Exposition Criminal bounces up in the background, and he's just there again. And then he asks more information, and they have a little bit of a chat. Now, already I have problems with this. The first one being, why does the Batman know that these fear things exist, and that fear will summon them? Like, is there some kind of additional scene that they shot and they just didn't make into the film? Or is there, like, did they just go, oh, it'll be more fun to jump straight into it, or it helps the flow better? But for some reason, he seems to already know that these guys are around and how to summon them. The second problem that I had was that the alien thingy explodes into 3 cubes on the wall, which later in the film, actually very soon into the film, tell you what's happening. That's a huge, like, it looks like it detonates itself, because it heats itself up and then it blows up. So that would be like if a secret agent was caught, took the cyanide pill to kill themselves so they didn't give up their secrets, and then wrote the name of their boss on a piece of paper as they died. I was like, well, why would you give them a huge clue when you're killing yourself? What's the point? You're like, oh, I won't let you torture me. I'll give you the answer, and then I'll die. Why? And then the third thing was that Exposition Criminal then goes on to talk about how, oh, because Superman's gone, these guys are going to invade and things are going bad. He's a criminal. Well, why is he talking like, oh, Superman? Like, it would have made sense if he was like, yeah, as soon as Superman left, chaos erupted on the streets, and I had to... It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I had to go and eat before I got eaten. Or, like, as soon as that pesky Superman died, I was able to go back to my life of crime. Or, like, as soon as Superman died and the chaos erupted on the streets, well, I lost everything I had, and I had to fight to survive. But instead, he's just like, when Superman died, I did the crimes. I went back to the crimes. Or not even back to the crimes, I just did a crime. And then he's like, oh, this world, we need Superman. What? He does crimes and misses Superman. Okay. Then immediately after that, you get a scene to establish again how much there's crime and chaos in the streets. A slow motion shot of some angry guy kicking a bunch of oranges. Oranges? Oh no! That's how you... Is it crime because an angry guy kicked oranges? The streets are bad? Why not go all out? Why not have him kick a pram with babies in it? Pull one of the babies out, drop kick it away, grab the other baby and run off. That establishes that there's crime in the city. Oh, everything's gone crazy after Superman died. People are stealing babies, kicking babies, terrible things to babies. Nope, oranges. That immediately links into a part where a polite man breaks into a courtroom, murders some people. You get a little thing in the background. Oh, sir, you shouldn't be... Oh, I'm dead. Obviously, that's off camera, because you can't have people die on camera. Then you get a wonderful shot of Wonder Woman standing on the Justice statue, whatever it's called. Lady Justice? Whatever. Because this movie's super subtle. So she's up there. Then it cuts back to the criminal guys inside the courthouse setting up bombs or something, and one of them gets picked up by the lasso of truth, which she decides to explain. It's like the first time they've explained anything in this. It was sort of like weird expository dialogue about how, hey, I just caught you with this. This is what it does. Just in case you know, because... Oh, just in case you don't know, because I know. It's mine. Okay. Well, he says, oh, yeah, we put enough... it's too late. We're going to blow this place up. We're going to blow up the 4 blocks worth of buildings. So then Wonder Woman comes down, beats people up, grabs the bomb, throws it up through the skylight so it explodes, saving everyone. So the bad guy decides, oh, now I'm going to have to shoot everybody. He starts firing. She blocks all the bullets in the weirdest way, where she's like sort of spinning around. It looks so weird, and I don't know why Zack Snyder thought it would be cool, because it's not. And then, yeah, I guess that's the end of that scene, where we're established that Wonder Woman is a hero. Now, some of the problems I have with this scene is that these guys set these bombs to destroy 4 blocks worth of area, and he sets up a timer of 20 seconds, so there's no way they're going to be out of that range. So they fully intend to blow themselves up along with everybody in the courtroom. Why have a timer? Why not just detonate it? That makes no sense. Also, if this bomb is going to blow up 4 blocks worth of buildings, throwing it through the skylight isn't a very good idea. It's not going to help. Because we already established when she was on top of the big Statue of Justice that it's quite high. She can see out fairly far, so there should be multiple stories there. So realistically, she would have to... maybe she does. I don't remember it too well. Jumps through a couple of floors and then throws it through the roof. But the explosion should blow up part of the building and then crumble down and kill everyone. So, yeah. Then we go back to Batman, where he's now gonna meet the Aquaman, which he knows nothing about, despite the fact that he's seen him before. And he's very obvious, standing there looking like Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones. And the Batman doesn't know. He offers him money, and then Aquaman says to his friends in another language that he's going to take that money anyway. Batman then sees on the wall these crazy cave drawings depicting Aquaman grabbing a fish for the people and the 3 crazy cubes. which is very confusing because Aquaman then goes on to tell Batman that he's been giving them fishes and protecting them, and those old block thingies are from centuries ago. So why, like, if the picture of him having the fish and the blocks are together, did they come back and add the pictures of him catching the fish? Because they don't match up time-wise. You shouldn't have them both together. It makes no sense. Very little of this film makes sense, actually. I won't go through scene by scene because, again, I'm fuzzy on what really happens, and I think I've already gone too far into those parts already. But this film feels like the dialogue is, for the most part, fairly witty and fun, but every time they have to progress the plot, it's like a pork boxer. It's so ham-fisted. And it's just like the dumbest way to move the plot along. Oh, the next scene was something about the Amazons and the bad guy, Steppenwolf. I really think they missed out on the chance when they were talking about Steppenwolf. They should have talked about how he was born to be wild, but they didn't. But the dialogue is sort of like fun, and I noticed Joss Whedon in the credits, so it feels like they gave Joss Whedon the banter that they'd written and said, "Here, punch this up," took his punched up version and then overlaid it with the plot points that they had already written out, so they just don't mesh. You've got like all this sort of like snarky humor, the stuff that Joss Whedon does great. You've got all that interlaced with dumb ways to move the scene forward where they just suddenly realize something important. They also established that everyone except for Aquaman in this team is a certified genius. But yet, they don't do or say anything smart unless the plot directly calls for it. They're just like pithy one-liner, back and forth banter. All of a sudden, hey, we need to do this thing because that's the way to get this movie going. I don't know. But yeah, there is positives to the film as well. I don't want to sound like I'm just going to rail on it the whole time, but most of the time I will. I really liked... the cast is quite good. I enjoy all of the actors in other roles, or not all of the actors, but most of the actors in other roles. And they do an admirable job with what they're given. There's just storyline-wise, they're just given the turd in the turd sandwich. And it's just... there is one character who I thought was quite well handled, which was the Flash. Every scene with him was quite fun. And he's also the only one that sort of stays true to a character. Everybody else is sort of like alternates between like super serious plot point and hey, this is pretty funny. Except for him, who's always sort of like, I use humor to deal with the fact that I'm in over my head, which is more fitting with the character, considering his whole thing is that he runs really fast. He's cowardly, but brave inside. So that's the basis. Like I liked him. The worst offender for the back and forth sort of whiplash of character temperaments or whatever is Aquaman. Aquaman goes between being like the cool, funny sort of like surfer dude type guy to being sort of like the angry, grim, super serious. Very frequently. Like, he swaps between it all the time. It's kind of jarring and pretty annoying too. Also, he just like suddenly shows up when they need him the first time because he knew where they were somehow. He followed the ocean. They do mention in the movie that he talks to the water and the water talks back, not the fish. Which I don't believe that's in the comic books at all, but it might be. I've never really read anything about the Aquaman. Um, I'm not actually super familiar with most of these characters, like exploits. The Batman, probably the most. I've read some Superman things, and then everything else is sort of just like a vague knowledge of them. They do also reference the Green Lantern in it a couple of times, but only like the alien version of him. Well, there's one line that might allude to there being a Green Lantern or the Green Lantern being part of it, but I don't know if they want to try him again, considering how badly the other one did. And yeah, so I've kind of lost track here a bit. The this storyline is broken. In a typical movie like this, like sort of like the Avengers, you have all these superpowers, they come together, they clash, everyone sort of like tries to one up the other, or they're just not falling into line properly. They fight against the bad guy, they lose, they retreat, they work out how to fight as a cohesive unit, they come back and they win the day. In this film, they come together, they fight, they lose, they try to revive Superman. He comes back, beats the shit out of him, and leaves. Then they go, I guess we're suddenly friends, and then go off and fight again, lose, Superman shows up, Superman wins the day virtually single-handedly. So the moral of the tale is, if something is hard and needs to be done, get somebody better to come and do it. Because that's all they did. They realistically didn't save anything, they just sort of went, hey, Superman, can you solve this problem for us? Because, and there's no stakes there with him, because as soon as he comes in, he can see that he's way more powerful than Steppenwolf, and there's like no chance of him losing. So it's sort of like as soon as he's there, well, that's it, that's done. Great movie. Yeah, so the actual, like, it's interesting that they didn't go the normal route, but the way they went is far more broken than the normal route would have been. So it's a very confusing sort of idea. And there might be more of the story actually in it, but I was so disconnected during every like story dialogue scene that I just couldn't pay attention. Like, there's a whole scene with Lois Lane and Superman, like at his family home, and I almost fell asleep. It was so boring watching those two talk about nothing. And then all of a sudden Superman's back and he's got to go and fight and beat up Steppenwolf. I also feel like Zack Snyder may have seen the movie King Boxer, because they show in the film that the headbutt is the most effective move you can do, which is also something that comes up in the film King Boxer. Despite the name of the film being Boxer, headbutts are the most effective. And the whole reason why Steppenwolf manages to get the last stone that he was looking for is because they're too busy trying to bring back Superman and fighting him that they just left it unguarded and he came and grabbed it. Also confusingly, Steppenwolf has the ability to just teleport to the stones and grab them, yet he doesn't do that for an extended period while they work out the Superman thing. I was like, he must know where they are because he goes directly to them, but for some reason he just waits there until they bring him back. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what their intention was there. Possibly just because, oh, well, if he turned up too early, then we wouldn't be able to bring Superman back. And if they had to protect the stone, then that might make sense storyline-wise. so we can't have him do that. It's a bit of a train wreck. The things that I think they got right, um, dialogue for the most part was pretty good and enjoyable. I liked the portrayal of the Flash. That actually might be it. Oh, the cast. I like the cast as well. Yeah, that might be it. Pretty much everything else. Music was bland and forgettable. Storyline was nonsensical and pretty stupid. The actual character arcs, they didn't really have an arc. Wonder Woman's arc, I guess, was going from being a secret hero to being more open about her heroics. Seemingly, none of these heroes seem to want to protect their identities at all. They're more out there than the Avengers are, but with no reason for it. They're just like, hey, you're Bruce Wayne, you're the Batman. Yeah, I am. You're Arthur Curry, you're the Aquaman. Yeah, that's me. Hey, Diane, you're the Wonder Woman. Yes, I am. Like, they kind of have secret identities, but they barely ever use them. Again, the exception being Barry Allen slash the Flash. Um, I feel it almost feels like everything with the Flash was handled by different people, because he sort of made sense and flowed along nicely, but everybody else was out of place and didn't make any goddamn sense. The special effects as well were not as good looking as I expected it to be for such a big budget movie. Like, there were a lot of very obvious green screen effects and shoddy looking things. And to put all this in contrast, the last movie I saw before this was Thor Ragnarok for the second time, because I watched it with two different people. And it feels like a stark contrast between the two films. Thor was fun, energetic, creative, fairly generic storyline, but all the other elements heightened it to the point where it was just super enjoyable to watch. Whereas Justice League had some good moments, mostly in dialogue or anytime the Flash was there, and then fell apart in all the other regards. The bad guy was super generic and uninteresting. He hit people with an axe and he grabbed them, and they had a lot of trouble stopping him. I haven't even talked about Cyborg, who is, again, a very obvious half CG character, which makes him always sort of look weird in the scenes. And I don't believe in the actual comics that he was built using the crazy ancient stone, but he is in this one. So he's somehow linked to it. There's this crazy scene where Batman and Wonder Woman are talking, and then Batman's like, I know where Barry Allen is. I'm going to go deal with him. You find Vincent, which is Cyborg. Why is he getting Wonder Woman to... Like, she doesn't have a network of hugely expensive servers and stuff like that to find him. That's Batman's job. And then turns out that he's standing behind them in the forest, and he's just hanging out watching them. Then she's using Batman's computer, so I guess it is his network that she's using. And she's looking for him by just watching old footage, which somebody recorded, of the dad making the cyborg, and then I guess he uploaded it to YouTube for fun. But that all messes up, and then Cyborg takes control, and then she asked to meet face to face, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I could have, if I wanted to kill you, I could have done it before when you were following us before." So she knew that he was behind her in the forest, and Batman had just said, "I need you to go find him." Turn around, turn around and talk to him. You don't need to go back and do the computer thing and arrange to meet up. Turn around and talk to him. He's right there. And you know that. Apparently. It's like so many massive plot holes in it just so they can have what they think is a cool scene. There's also a number of times where characters just sort of fall down from the sky. Mainly Wonder Woman. Aquaman does it a lot, and so does Steppenwolf. They're just sort of like, instead of like coming into the scene by like attacking the enemy from behind or like running in, they just sort of careen down from the air. Like everybody's go-to move is, I'm just going to jump there. I want a Hulk style jump over there. I also don't know why everybody seems to, especially like Wonder Woman has super speed that she uses occasionally. Like she doesn't really use it against Steppenwolf at all. She only uses it defensively later on and at the start. But it's shown that she can move super fast and she can block all those bullets, so she can do it for a significant amount of time. But then she just doesn't do it when it would be really helpful. It's super weird. And I've probably talked about this for too long, considering like somebody else will come through and they'll do a better review, more in depth, and they'll give you fun graphics and stuff like that. So look out for that. Probably like Red Letter Media will probably do one. They're great. I always watch their stuff, and I'd love to see what they say about this. If they hated it as much as I did. Well, I wouldn't say I hated it. I just was disengaged by every story element. So it ultimately felt like a fairly big waste of time. But that's it for this video. I probably won't do another movie review unless for some reason this is super popular and you guys demand it. But I generally love movies and have a lot of nice things to say about them. But this one just, there were so many things that didn't add up for me that I just was like, I gotta talk about this with someone. So you were the guys that I talked to. Thanks for watching. Ciao for now.